Hello, good morning. My name is Jess and I'm the Marketing Manager at Pragmatic Solutions. Welcome to our Microsoft Power BI webinar this morning. In a second, I'm going to hand over to our Technical Director, Jamie Evans, and he is going to go through the agenda and the demonstration with you. The demo is going to run until about 10:30, and we will then have some time for some questions and answers. On the right-hand side of your screen, you should see a Q&A panel. This will stay open throughout the webinar, so if you do wish to ask anything, please submit your questions via this, and everything will be answered collectively at the end. Just to let you know as well, this webinar is being recorded, so that will be sent out to everybody via email this afternoon. I will also pop a link shortly to our webinar survey in the Q&A panel, so you should see that on the right-hand side in a minute. If you do wish to provide any feedback, we'd be grateful, and you can do so through here. This will be available until the end of the webinar, so just click on that link and it will take you to a separate survey. I'll now hand over to Jamie Evans.
Thanks, Jessica. Hello, everyone. Good morning and welcome to this webinar where I'll be introducing Microsoft's business intelligence solution, Microsoft Power BI. In the next 30 minutes or so, I'll be explaining what Power BI is all about and showcasing some of the key features and functionalities available. And I'll be hopefully making it clear to you how your business can adopt Power BI to gain those vital insights into your business data. A little bit about myself. My name is Jamie Evans. I am the Technical Director at Pragmatic Solutions. We are a Microsoft Dynamics 365 and Power Platform partner, specializing in designing and developing bespoke CRM systems and custom databases, with all of our solutions leveraging Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform. Now, obviously, this session today is all about Power BI, and that forms one of the applications in the Power Platform, along with Power Apps and Power Automate. And over the years, as a Dynamics 365 partner, the majority of our projects come with a Power BI or a reporting piece, and as a result, we've built up a specialism internally in this area. The agenda today is going to be split up into 3 sections. There's going to be a short presentation, roughly 5 to 6 minutes long, where we go to what is Microsoft Power BI, some of the main benefits and features, and we'll also go through the reasons why your business might want to adopt Power BI and adopt a more streamlined and automated reporting setup. Then there'll be a demo. We'll get into the system. It'll be a bit more hands-on, and you'll go through a sales scenario I'll go through a sales scenario for a fictitious company and showcase some of the key features and functionality. And then there'll be a live Q&A, like Jessica mentioned, where we'll have a chance to ask some further questions. Okay, so what is Microsoft Power BI? Well, it's a data and analytics reporting tool which essentially brings together data from one or multiple data sources. So anything from a basic Excel spreadsheet, a CRM database, a third-party add-on product such as an email marketing tool, for example. And this also covers both cloud and on-premise setups. And what it does, it connects to those data sources, and then the data can then be presented and visualized in dashboards and reports with very visual and easy to read graphs and charts. It is a cloud-based reporting tool as well, where reports are designed and then they're designed and built, and they are published to the Power BI web service, where then they can start to be shared around an organization, and users can access those dashboards and reports via a web browser, a tablet, and the mobile app, making it very accessible wherever you are located. Just a brief word about licensing and pricing. There is a free version, which is really designed for personal use, so you can connect to data sources, you can build your reports, but it has limitations when you want to publish those reports and share them around an organization. The most common license is Power BI Pro, and that one comes at £7.50 per user per month. And this is you then get the capability of being able to publish reports, share them around an organization, and collaborate on those reports within a business. And it also comes with 8 daily refreshes of the data as well, so automatically refreshing the data 8 times in a day, so fairly real time that you can get that data refreshed to Power BI. And then finally, there's a premium package as well, and these are more bespoke packages for more complex reporting setups, where an organization might have large volumes of data, or they might need to have the data refreshed on a more frequent basis. Okay, so some of the benefits and features. So a benefit data sources. So I'm just going to switch to my next slide here, where you can see some of the pre-built connectors on the right-hand side. There are many more as well. These are just some examples, but you have the first-party Microsoft applications such as Dynamics 365, SharePoint, Access, Excel, for example. And then there also have already been some pre-built connectors for third-party apps such as Xero, Google Analytics, MailChimp, and many others. But if your application doesn't have a pre-built connector, not to worry, you can also build some custom connectors as well and connect to those data sources. If I just switch back to the benefits, then the second one is to be able to schedule automatic refresh of data. I previously mentioned that one, but Power BI can connect to data sources, and you can schedule automatically for the data to be refreshed up to 8 times a day. And obviously that can save huge amounts of time, as opposed to having to export the data out of multiple systems and build those and put together those reports, so saving a lot of time there. You can also transform and manipulate data easily. We find it's very rare that the raw data coming out of a lot of these applications is in a format to be able to report on effectively, and Power BI offers some simple tools to be able to manipulate that data and transform it before you start to visualize in the dashboards and reports. And also the best thing there as well is that once the transformation rules are set, when the data refreshes, it applies that every time. So again, saving huge amounts of time when as opposed to putting reports together manually. And then finally, business intelligence and decision making. Obviously, if the data can be transformed and visualized effectively, trends can be identified, and key areas of weakness or improvement areas, and those key decisions can be made off the back of facts as opposed to a gut feeling about a particular business and the way you're operating. And then we have the features. I won't say too many words about this because we'll be covering this in the demo, but you can drill down into multiple levels of the data. It's dynamic, so it's not static reports. You can go down a level deeper and see the underlying information. It has good interoperability with other Microsoft applications. So as you would expect, being a Microsoft application, it works well with Teams, SharePoint, and also you can embed these reports and dashboards into portals as well. Artificial intelligence, there are some capabilities to be able to ask the system some questions in plain language and get the responses back. And then finally, there is a marketplace full of visuals and chart types. So if you want to explore further, I have extra different chart types. Some people are building these chart types and visuals specifically for Power BI, and they're available on a marketplace. So why your business might need Power BI. So if these statements are true to you, you might be spending large amounts of time putting reports together. It might be a weekly, a monthly, or even daily task for some businesses, and that can take a large amount of time to export that data and put those reports together. You might struggle to get an overview of your business operations. So you might have a complex application set up with multiple applications, and it's very difficult to get an end-to-end understanding of what's going on in your business without a connected reporting setup. And then working with data requiring a high level of transformation and manipulation, that if you've got that requirement there, then it can also take a large amount of time doing that transformation every time that report needs to put together. And like I mentioned, there are some good transformation and manipulation tools within Power BI to do it automatically. And then finally, you can't trust the reliability of manual reporting. So I'm sure we've all been there with Excel reports where a formula is incorrect or a value is in the wrong cell, and that can just throw out the reporting totally. So moving to a more robust reporting setup, you can start to really trust the data that you are seeing. A little bit about last slide, and that's about the demo and the scenario. So we are going to go through a sales scenario today. It is a fictitious company who sell office equipment and do office fit outs, and they have a national sales team working across the UK. And the dashboards and reports have been designed to help a sales management team to get an overview of the sales revenue, leaderboards, lead analysis, for example. Obviously, there's a focus today around sales, but that doesn't mean that Power BI can't be used for other industries or other areas of the business. Of course, it can. It can be if your business is a membership management company or charities or financial services, for example, that it's applicable for whatever business and whatever industry, and also other departments like operations and finance. Okay, so now I'll switch to the demo and we'll go through the main features and functionalities. So I'll switch over to here, and this is Power BI. It's a web-based application, so you access it via a browser. If you are familiar with Office and you have a Power BI license, you will have the Power BI icon available in the overview, and you obviously click that, you'll get taken through to the Power BI web service. Before I go into explaining about some of the data and the charts and this particular sales scenario, I'm just going to show you some of the features, the standard features of how you can collaborate and how you can work with Power BI, and then we'll move on to the demo a little bit more about the data. So in this screen here, you can see a dashboard. Now, Power BI, when you do a Power BI setup, it consists of dashboards and reports. Now, a dashboard is designed to have the high level, the key reports that you want to see at a high level overview based on the underlying report. So some of the key charts can be pinned on a dashboard that you can see from a high level basis. But when you click on one of these particular charts, you then get taken down to the underlying report where there's a lot more information. You can also view this in a mobile form. So like I mentioned, the accessibility is good for Power BI. There is a Power BI app that is on any app source or the Google store stores, and you can see here how the data can be visualized in a mobile form, and that just makes that data so accessible. It's published in the cloud. You can access it wherever you are on the go. That becomes very powerful for people that are on the road regularly. You also got a possibility of adding a dashboard theme as well. So there are some standard themes that come out of the box. You have the light theme, dark theme, where you can see there it just makes the data pop out a little bit more. And you've also got a possibility of uploading your own theme if you want to make it fitting with your own branding, your company branding, for example. Okay, so that's some of the sort of high level features. For example, we've also mentioned here on a dashboard level, we have some artificial intelligence capabilities. So if I was to click on ask a question about your data and then pop in a question, which will be the total leads by account industry, for example, then it comes back with, it reads that information, it knows what I'm asking, and it can go away and pull back the results straight away instantly there. I can then pin that visual if I want to have it as part of a dashboard, for example, or I can even extend it further, and I might say, actually, I want to actually turn this into a tree map. And what it does is then represents the data in a different form. So really making it easy for you to be able to query the data to find certain information. You do need to get familiar with the way that you ask the questions. But once you've got familiar with that, it's very easy to find that information, and you're not just limited to the reports that are already pre-built and the way the data is designed. You can ask those questions to query the data and get it in the format that you want. Okay, so that's the Power BI capabilities there. Sorry, the artificial intelligence capabilities. Now, if we go into the data in a little bit more detail and about the sort of sales scenario. So this, like as I mentioned before, this is a dashboard. It's the high level overview of a lot of the reports. But if I was to click onto one of these reports, it then takes me down, or one of these charts, it then takes me down to the lower level. So for example, if I was to click onto new leads trend, for example, it then takes me down to a lower level where you can see that we have pages here, and there's a lot more visuals and reporting going on those particular pages. Now this one here, for this scenario, we have a lead analysis page, we have sales performance, we have a win-loss analysis, sales pipeline, and sales leaderboards. So these pages can be designed. You can have as many pages as you want really here, and you can split your data out into different sections. What you also have as common on all pages is you have this filter option here. Now this filter option is really good to be able to filter either this particular page or filter on all pages. So this works well for when you want to maybe view the data based on a physical period, maybe a quarter, might be a month, might be a year, or you might want to take data in for several years to be able to look at the differences between that data. And you can play that filter across all pages. So the user has the flexibility to be able to change that on each page. So making the filtering possibilities very easy to work with. Well, you also have a standard with most Power BI reports. You can actually switch this off, but it's a really nice feature is that the forms are dynamic and interactive. So for example, the reports are dynamic and interactive. So if you are to click on a certain option, for example, if I were to click on the amount of cold leads that we have currently open, you click on it here, the rest of the charts on this page get filtered by that particular criteria. So I can see on the map here the cold leads and where they are located in the country, for example. Likewise, if I was to click on warm, it would then show me the warm leads in the country and filter the rest of the data so I can see trends on warm leads, for example. Okay, so we have I'll go through the different pages to showcase some of the chart types and explain what they are good for and how this can help a sales organization. But before I do that, I just wanted to go through another standard feature that you get on most chart types is that you can drill down to a lower level of the data. So here we have a chart that is showing leads, open leads by source. And if I wanted to drill down further and actually see, okay, we have this word of mouth lead source. I want to see what sales representatives have these leads assigned to them. So who are busy with getting the name out there of the business and doing their job effectively. So if I click on this little option here to drill down, it then becomes active to drill down. When I click on the chart, it then takes me down to the next level, and I can see that actually 6 have been assigned to Jessica, 6 have been assigned to Kib, and 6 to Diana. So I can see how that split is, and that can work with any option here. We can take it down to a lower level and drill down into the data. So like I mentioned before, there's a real benefit there because you're not just got those static reports, you can go down a lower level as well. So some really nice features there to be able to filter the data at a lower level. Okay, so come at some of the chart types here. We have obviously a card, which is quite good just to get some high-level information and to sum up some of the figures. So for this particular lead, we have conversion rates, we have lead qualification rates, and these can all be put together by sort of calculated fields in the background. We would use the data there, sum it all up, and then create some calculated fields to present that information. Obviously, when certain filters are there, you can see that the rest of those calculations get filtered as well. So some nice, again, some nice filtering possibilities. We have standard bar charts and line charts. We have pie charts, for example, but there are also some ones that track trends well and visualize trends. And we have the sort of the funnel option here as well, where it orders leads by industry, by the ones that are most popular as well. If I click down to the next option here, where we have sales performance, you'll see some other options here where we have a sort of a trend going on here to plot the revenue over a certain period as it goes on in the months, for example. We have a tree map to show the popular industries by one revenue and the proportion of that revenue across those different industries. We have a donut chart so we can see the revenue that's been won, how has that been split across the territories. So we can see here, Southeast is doing pretty well, and also the Midlands. We also have a gauge here as well, which is a good thing for sales managers to get an overview of. This shows here that you have it's one revenue versus estimated revenue. So overall, for this particular period, the estimated revenue has been 3.22 million, but actually the one revenue was only 2.86 million. Now that is good information for the for managers to see that when their sales personnel are estimating opportunities and what the money that's going to come in, so the forecast reporting, they are slightly out on their estimations from the actual money that is brought in from those deals. You can also plot certain trends as well. So not only do you have your figures in bar charts, you can plot certain trends on there as well to get an overview of how to visualize the progress there, or to highlight areas that need improvement. If we go over to the next one here, where we have the win-loss analysis, this is also another good example here where of trends, plotting certain trends for won revenue and lost revenue, the averages. So you can see that on the chart. But what you can also see on the left-hand side here is there are some on-page slicing that you can do as well. So here we can limit the industry. We can actually select certain territories, or even down to the sales personnel as well, the owners of these opportunities. So for example, if I wanted to see the Midlands and I wanted to say for consulting, for example, then I can filter the opportunities based on the Midlands, and then also go a further step and say I only want to see the opportunities that have won or lost for the consulting industry in the Midlands. And then that leads me on to another nice feature that comes with Power BI, is to be able to bookmark certain filters as well. So if you are looking at these reports regularly, maybe daily, maybe weekly, and you don't want to have to filter the information every time you come in, or you've got a particular campaign that's going on and a particular focus on a certain industry, what you can do is you can make those filters on the reports, on the pages, and then you can set those as bookmarks. So for example, here I might say social services, for example, in the Midlands, and I can go and click a bookmark and I'll add a new personal bookmark and say Midlands social services. I'll just put social, click save. And then if I was to then remove these filters and go to my bookmark for social, you'll see then that those filters are applied there. So that's a nice way of filtering the data, but making it easy for the user if they are using the same types of filtering every time. And then also leads on to another functionality that is been introduced and adds good value for collaboration, is the commenting. So if I click on comments on a particular chart, so a sales manager might be looking at this information and going, something doesn't quite add up to me here. What is this figure all about? Whatever that might be, what they can do is they can actually loop somebody else into the organization and say, for example, Stuart Goldwater, what is this figure about, for example, and I'll click post. And then that comment has been added. Stuart will get the notification to say that he has been commented on a particular Power BI report. And then when Stuart comes onto this particular report, he will then see it in this particular format because there's no filters on there. But that might be no good for him to be able to really identify what the sales manager was talking about. And so then he can click on this particular option here to bookmark it, and it'll take him to exactly where he was looking at when he saw that particular figure, making it a lot clearer. And then you can then communicate back and forth with that person and chat over the report. So really aiding that collaboration between teams and also departments as well. Okay, so we have, just to showcase some of the other functionalities that are available, if we go on to the pipeline, we have some other chart types here with the funnels and also plotting trends. So you can see sales pipeline by expected completion by month. So we can see the months ahead for the pipeline, and also we can identify within that pipeline what stage the opportunities are as well. Are they close to being closed? Are they very early on in the process? So you can see that split there, which is creating good visuals for estimating revenue that is going to land in the future. And the last one I want to show is the option to be able to add grids on here as well. So you're not just limited to charts, you can also add grids on here as well. So for example, if I wanted to see the sales leaderboard and I can see that Diana has done quite well this particular period, if I click on her ones here, we can then see that we have the results here filtered based on the opportunities won by Diana. So we can see the information here, the revenue assigned, the actual revenue, and the time, etc. Then when that was done. So some good opportunities to view the data in more visual, in a grid form to get the details behind the data as well. Okay, so if I switch back to lead analysis, just our main screen, when we've got what I wanted to go through now is some of the export capabilities. So we often get asked the question, okay, it's great to have these reports, but I need to put this information into a management pack. I need to share it with my directors or the board, for example. So what Power BI have done is they've created some good functionality to be able to export to PDF or to PowerPoint presentation as well. So what you can do is if I click the PowerPoint option, it will then start to create a PowerPoint presentation. Now that can take a couple of minutes to download. So here's one I created earlier where you can see here that we have all of the pages that have been put out to a PowerPoint page. So if I click through, for example, we can see the different reports here and the different pages of those reports. So a really easy way to be able to get a management report to be able to present to the board or senior directors, for example. What you can also do with the export to PDF is not just have it how it is at the moment. You can also filter the information before you actually send it out to a PDF or PowerPoint. So, for example, if I wanted to just show a certain territory, or I was a manager for a certain sales team, you could filter it on that information and then take it out to PowerPoint. So some good possibilities there as well. And then for other options with to aid sort of collaboration and automation, you have this subscribe option as well, where you can subscribe to a particular page. So as I click subscribe here, add a new subscription, and I can define that I want to receive an overview of this report on a particular basis. So it could be daily. It could be daily to be able to receive it. And what it does is it sends you an email with a snapshot of the particular report at that moment in time. So it might be you set it that's just before the data is being refreshed, and then you're going to get an email sent with that report in there as an image. So you can see an overview of that information, and that's been sent to you automatically. And then if you click it, it then takes you through to the report itself. Okay, so one of the last things I want to show you around some of the features and functionalities is the different chart types. So I mentioned that there is a whole marketplace of chart types chart types and graphs. So if I go to edit here and click edit, and then we have some visualization options. These are the standard ones that are out of the box, but you'll also have an option here to go and get more visuals. So if I click on the get more visuals, I then get taken to AppSource, which is Microsoft's marketplace for applications. There's also a Power BI section for visuals, and you can see in the list there are a large amounts of visuals that people have been designing for Power BI that can be adopted by your organization. So you'd add them here, and then you'd be able to then add them to your charts. There's also a possibility as well, if you're that way inclined, to build your own chart types and publish them, but that gets obviously a little bit more complex, and you'd obviously have to have some specific needs to be able to do that as well. But that is a possibility. Okay, so I'm going to, that's the sort of end of the demo showcasing some of the features and functionalities. I'm now going to switch back to the presentation. So if anybody has any questions or queries about Power BI or looking to adopt it within your organization, please reach out to us on pragmaticsolutions.co.uk, or you can call us on 01908 038 110, or you can also reach out to us on email at marketing@pragmaticsolutions.co.uk. I'm now going to hand back over to Jessica to see if there's been any questions asked.
Thanks, Jamie. We will now open the floor to questions. So if anybody does have any, then please type them in the Q&A panel on the right-hand side of your screen. I'll just give it a couple of minutes just to see if any questions come through. We might not have to have time to respond to all of them, but any of those that we're not able to respond to during this webinar, we will get back to you directly afterwards with the email that's sent out this afternoon. It will feature all the questions and answers, so keep your eye out for that, but I'll just give it a minute. Okay, we have had one come in. So the first question is, we want to give our salespeople access to the data, but we don't want them to see each other's. How can we control the security?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Actually, one we get asked quite a lot. The security can often be quite complex, but Power BI has a good approach to this. What you can define within Power BI are security roles, essentially, and you can define the you can filter or define the values, the criteria for those security roles about what people can see. So, for example, you could define a criteria in a security role to say, I only want the records that are owned by a particular user to be visible to that particular user. So you can really, you can really go down to a low level and say, the data that is displayed to a particular user should only be for the records that they own or related to them. And then once you've defined that security role, when you want to share the reports to that particular user, at the process of sharing it, you'll then define the access and pick a particular security role. So that works quite well for individual salespeople, but you can also apply more higher level privileges for management and directors and senior management, for example.
Okay, great. Yeah. Another question that we've had through is, can you export the underlying data to Excel?
Yeah, also a good question. So yeah, one of the standard features is that when you're on a particular chart, if you were to right click on the chart, there is a export to Excel option. And what that does is it takes all of the underlying records and puts it out into an Excel sheet. So if you wanted to do some further analysis on it, you can do. So yes, it can do that.
Can Power BI interface with Zoho?
Yes, it can do. However, I don't believe a pre-built connector exists for Zoho at the moment. But I do know that Zoho has an API which Power BI can connect to. So yes, it can do. But when I talked about those pre-built connectors earlier on in the presentation, I don't believe that Zoho has one at the moment.
We've had quite a couple more come in. Why do I have to sign up with my work email?
Yeah, also a good question. So obviously Microsoft Power BI is a Microsoft application. So when you sign in with your Microsoft account, your Microsoft 365 account, it will instantly have it linked up with the rest of your organization. So we've talked about a lot of the possibilities to be able to collaborate and share those reports around an organization. Microsoft likes to tie it to a work email account, so that collaboration is enabled straight away and it's connected to your Office 365 tenant, and you can share that information around the organization.
Okay, great. And is academic and non-profit pricing available for Power BI?
Yes. So for Power BI, it's like any other Microsoft cloud licenses. Microsoft have options for non-profit, so charities, if you want to call them charities, where there is a large reduction, about 75%. That applies to Power BI as well. And then academic, there is also reductions there as well. I think it's roughly around about 60%. So yeah, there are some options there for those two types.
Okay, and is Power BI available on premise?
Yeah, so Power BI does have an on-premise version, and it's called Power BI Report Server, which allows you to build and distribute reports within an organization, quite like the cloud version that I've just demonstrated. And then if your organization is on premise but planning to migrate to the cloud, one of the good things what Power BI or Microsoft have done is that they've allowed it to easily be able to transition. So the effort that you go to establishing a setup in on premise isn't wasted. when you want to transition to the cloud. So that is quite an easy move to do in the future. But yes, in answer to your question, Microsoft is available on premise, but it's called Power BI Report Server.
Okay, great. And can you use Power BI without a paid 360?
Sorry, Jessica, I didn't quite hear that question. It just broke up.
Oh, sorry. I said, can you use Power BI without a paid 365 license?
Okay. So I guess we need a little bit more detail around the question that you're asking. I think we can take this one away and we can come back to you with a response on that. There are some free licenses, like I mentioned, but you are restricted of what you can do to that. If you want to go to more an option to be able to collaborate, then you would need to go up to a higher license. But like we say, we'd need to understand a little bit more about your setup to be able to answer that correctly.
Okay, another question. The export to PowerPoint is only on the browser and not on the Power BI desktop.
Sorry, Jessica, you just broke up again a second there.
Sorry, I think this is a question that's come through. It's not got a question mark, but it says the export to PowerPoint is only on the browser and not on the BI desktop.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's only available in the web. On the web.
Okay, sorry, I'm just having a couple of internet issues. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay, on the percentage chart on the dashboard, does it give actual numbers? The industry definitions are created by who? And in brackets for the system here.
Okay, so yeah, so one thing I didn't mention actually in the demo is that the data, the underlying data here is connected to, for this particular scenario, was connected to Dynamics 365. So the industries and a lot of the labels and the values there are defined in Dynamics, and the data is pulled into Power BI. The actual numbers that are demonstrated are demo numbers, but the percentage. So what's the question? The percentage chart gives it actual numbers. So you can put the actual numbers on there. So I don't quite understand the question completely, but you can put your actual numbers on there. You can put percentages on there, but I don't know if that's if answering the question quite correctly there. So we can take this one away as well and go back to the person that's asked it and asked further about that particular question.
Okay, that's great. So that's all of the ones that I can see that have come in so far. However, if you do think of anything and you've just not had a chance to ask it, then please do feel free to contact us using the details on the screen. Like Jay said, our email is marketing@pragmaticsolutions.co.uk, or you can give us a call on 01908 038 110. You can also visit our website at www.pragmaticsolutions.co.uk. I've also popped a link to our webinar survey in that Q&A panel. So if you do want to provide us with any feedback, that'd be great. You can just click through to that link and it'll take you to an external survey. Hope you found this webinar useful. As I mentioned before, this webinar has been fully recorded, so it'll be sent out to your emails this afternoon, along with any questions and answers that we've gone through. I'll break those down so you can see all of those and have a read back. Please also look out for our future webinars. They'll be communicated via socials, emails, etc. So thank you for joining. I hope you have a good rest of your day and week.